What is up, YouTube? What is up, Jet Nation? Sean back with another episode today on the Jet Show. Happy to be back with you guys. Going to review the practice squad and a couple other notes of who the Jets have signed. There's one spot still available. You can carry 16 guys on the practice squad. We've brought in 15 as of the time of this recording. But before we get into that, if you like the content and haven't subscribed already, please do so. That'd be awesome. Hit that like button and notification bell so you can get notified when my next video drops. And let me know what you guys think of my thoughts on the practice squad and maybe any other players that we should bring in to fill that last spot. So, without further ado, let's start on the offense. The hero and the star of the preseason, Chris Streveler, he passed through waivers. We got him back. I didn't think that was going to happen, but super happy about that move. We brought back 3 of our wide receivers. Tariq Black, I know the Jets really like his size and speed. You know, how fast he is for his size is definitely a big plus. Irvin Charles, rookie undrafted free agent, as well as Calvin Jackson. Really liked what I saw out of Calvin Jackson in the preseason. I think he'd be a really good guy to develop and maybe make the roster, maybe take over for Jeff Smith if we decide not to bring Jeff Smith back, or if we, you know, have another wide receiver spot open up, as in maybe Denzel Mims gets traded after this year, maybe not during the season, or maybe he does get traded during the season, and a guy like Calvin Jackson steps up and fills that hole on the roster. We brought back Kenny Yeboah. Super happy about that. I love the 5 tight ends we have on the roster and practice squad. It's really awesome to see that we have so much depth compared to previous seasons when we had nothing at that position. So super happy about that. I think Yeboah could really develop into a solid, you know, maybe number 2, number 3 tight end. We brought back 2 tackles. Obviously, we only kept 8 offensive linemen on the active 53-man roster initially, so we brought back Chris Glazer and Grant Hermans. You know, we need some tackle depth, especially after the Becton injury, and the fact that Dwayne Brown has only played, you know, 1 game. We have George Fant moving over to the other side. Max Mitchell's the only tackle backup on the active roster. You know, some little, you know, nerves with me going into the season with, you know, being a little thin, lacking a little depth on that offensive line. So let's turn around to the defensive side of the ball. Bradley and Nye, who really showed off in, you know, the preseason, had a really great game. Fumble, you know, sack, strip sack, fumble recovery, scooped it up, and ran it back for a touchdown. I mean, that was, you know, the trifecta right there. Phenomenal play. So I'm really happy to see him back. The 2 interior defensive linemen that we waived as well, Jonathan Marshall and Tanzel Smart. We brought in 3 linebackers, Hamza Nasruddin, DQ Thomas, as well as we brought in Chaz Surratt, who I actually really liked in the draft a couple of years ago. So he was a former 3rd-round pick. Let's see if he can stick and maybe give this linebacker group a little bit of depth. Craig James at corner, who's also he didn't play for the Jets this preseason, but he was on the Jets previously. He's been around the league for about 4 years. And then veteran Will Parks, who I thought made a really good case at making the roster, to be honest with you. And, you know, there's always a chance that either Tony Adams or Ashton Davis, something happens. Ashton Davis has had a history of injuries, so it's highly likely that we could see Will Parks making it up to the 53-man roster at some point in this season. So one thing I noticed about this list, and you guys probably have as well, filling up the practice squad with tons of guys that they released. There's only 2 guys out of these 15 that they brought in from other teams. That's Chaz Surratt and Craig James. So these guys know the system. They've been learning the system the entire offseason. A lot of familiarity there. And this is something I think that has kind of changed since, you know, the COVID season. The COVID season, I noticed, was when the team really started keeping a lot of guys that they released. And I think there's something there, something to do with the familiarity. And I think they realized that in that season. And so I think a lot of these guys got the upper hand compared to players that were waived and cut by other teams. just because of the fact that they have that familiarity and they know what they're getting. So we actually also had 7 guys that were picked up onto 53-man rosters for other teams, which is something you don't really see from the Jets in previous years very much. It's not all that common just because we didn't have the depth on our roster. So we got Jason Pinnock going to the Giants, Isaiah Dunn going to Seattle, as well as Jabari Zuniga going to Seattle. Cornerback Javelin Guidry going to the Cardinals. Safety Rashad Wildgoose going to Washington, who I thought Wildgoose had an awesome preseason. Really awesome preseason. Trayvon Wesco going to the Bears. Chuma Adoga going to the Falcons. And then the one that does bother me a little bit, Sean Phillips going to the Ravens, because we play the Ravens week 1. So I wonder if there's any gamesmanship going on there with the Ravens. We'll have to see. The guys that left, the only one that really upsets me not coming back to the Jets is Jason Pinnock. I would have liked to see Isaiah Dunn clear waivers and end up on our practice squad. I think that's why we took a little bit of time and brought in Craig James. I think we were waiting to see if Isaiah Dunn was going to fall through waivers and we could sign him back to the practice squad. So that's a little disappointing. You never know. You could end up getting cut again. These are lower end of the roster guys, so you never know. Look, Craig James was on the Jets and he's back again. So, yeah, I mean, those are pretty much my thoughts. I think we have a great practice squad. I think we lost out on a couple good players like Isaiah Dunn and Jason Pinnock that we could have brought back onto the practice squad, but it's a numbers game. That's what happens. You're running a risk when you cut these guys. But a couple guys in the practice squad I'm extremely excited about. Calvin Jackson, I think he played awesome. Will Parks was a monster in preseason. Tanzel Smart was a monster in preseason. Bradley and I had a great offseason. Of course, none other than Chris Streveler. I mean, who can be disappointed about that? I think he's a guy that could develop into maybe your third quarterback next year and makes the active roster, because Mike White and Flacco are on 1-year deals. And then maybe even a year after that he can develop into the backup to Zach Wilson. So really like what I saw out of him. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. I think this is an awesome practice squad we have. Awesome 53-man roster we built. I'm super excited for the season and see what these guys are going to do. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. What player are you happiest about bringing back on the practice squad? Which player are you most disappointed about losing and not getting on the practice squad? Countdown's on, guys. What are we, 10 days away from kickoff? So it's pretty exciting. Pretty exciting time of year. So I love Labor Day for so many reasons. An extra day off of work, and football's right around the corner. So I guess I'll see you guys on the next one.